Good evening. We are live now. It's Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, and joined again, my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Josh Brody. And behind the Bima continues to be somber like the rest of the world. Rabbi Brody, we are broken. We're worried. We're grieving. We're also very hopeful and optimistic and proud and strong and united.
Yeah.
And yet again, behind the Bima is not just schmooze and not just fascinating guests, but we are focused, and nobody could remove our focus from Israel, our brothers and sisters there. I want to thank our generous sponsors tonight for Behind the Bima. Daily Aliyah, a collection of practical Divrei Torah on each Aliyah of every Parsha.
Wow.
You can get it at your local bookstore. You can get it online. All the proceeds go to support daily giving. We love daily giving. Daily giving, by the way, has been giving out $50,000 a day to Israel. Absolutely incredible at this time. And Daily Aliyah is a way to study the Parsha. So the 7 Aliyah, 7 days of the week, every day you can study that Aliyah, Daily Aliyah. It's also sponsored by Virtual Halacha Program, a program to learn Halacha at a high level under the auspices of Rabbi Neventhal, with an option of getting smicha. You can visit vhalacha.com, VHALACHA, vhalacha.com. More information, learn Hilchah Shabbos, Basar Uchalav. If you've always wanted to learn Halacha seriously, Rabbi Neventhal, I don't know if you saw the images today, Rabbi Neventhal was at an army base, and he was blessing the soldiers, and he had those eyes, and what a holy soul, and showed up and supporting the soldiers. So you can study Torah with him through a virtual halacha program, vhalacha.com. I just want to say at the outset, before we begin tonight and bring on the guests, we have incredible guests and incredible conversations and insight into what's going on the ground in Israel from real heroes, extraordinary people. But I don't want to say a trigger warning, but it's very direct conversation, and the conversation with Eli Beer in particular and Hatzalah. So if a person doesn't want to hear some of the details of what Hatzalah dealt with, what Eli Beer dealt with, that conversation in particular, just know at the outset that that's a complicated one. So Rabbi Brody, talk to us. You're
Can I start with the following?
Yeah.
We got a sharing here. Just please, whoever's listening, do not share this with my daughter. We got a text message yesterday. I'll just read you. This is on the family chat, and it says going to base tomorrow morning, and with a peace sign. And right away, Simone responded very quickly, which I'm sure you would as well. Oh wow, I'm proud of you. Just super worried. And they go on. There's a little back and forth, but then I just want to say what's really amazing here. You see, because they just got married. She got married to Zach not too long ago, a few weeks ago. So what do you do the night before you go to your army base? This is hundreds of thousands of Israelis are doing this. So she goes with some of her friends, right? She goes with some of her friends to drop off pizza at her husband's base.
Wow.
For them. And then she leaves the next morning.
What an image.
For her base.
What an image, and what a power couple that both of them right now are in the army. Both of them are serving. And wow. Yeah. And for her to have that peace of mind the night before she goes in, to say that she's bringing it to her husband's base, it's just a big wow. Just a big wow.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about that? You're also nervous?
So they left this morning, or she left this morning. She's on a base right now, somewhere in Ashdod, I believe. But we haven't heard from her. Don't expect to necessarily hear from her. She's busy, I'm sure. And it just shows you how real this is. If you say, "Well, I don't know anyone that's in the army right now," I don't know. Okay, now you do. So now you're just 1 degree away.
So you got a daughter and a son-in-law.
Daughter and son-in-law.
6,000 miles away. That's not easy.
Yeah. So again, we're just davening, and I'll say to some of our friends that in the yeshivas, and this is something which meant a lot to me. One of the first, I did two things right away after hearing that she got called up. I sent a message to our we have a very large, diverse group of rabbis in this community, and I figured if there's anyone that's going to pray, let's just get the entire community, all the rabbis, all of them. Let's we can unite around something. I think we could agree. We could unite around Avigail, okay, and all the other soldiers, of course. And then I texted my yeshiva, and I spoke to Rabbi Glazer, who's the head of he runs the Kollel, the Ner Yisrael, and I said, I know I get the politics. I understand. We have the soldiers on one hand, and we have the army on the other hand. I said, I'm just wondering, would you be would you be okay? Because every year for my father, you sponsor a day of learning. That's, to me, it means so much when the guys in the yeshiva are doing that. So would you be able to do it for the soldiers? Again, I'm not pushing. If the answer is no, I might not be happy, but I understand. I understand the politics. I get it. So he said to me two things. He said, first of all, we would love to give you tomorrow, but someone's already sponsored the next 3 weeks. So, but then he called the guys in Miami and he gave me tomorrow because she's going in today. And so he took the next, delayed it one day.
This is Ner Yisrael?
Ner Yisrael, the next 3 weeks.
Beautiful.
And then he said it, the Rosh Hashiva, Rav Feldman, called the guys on Friday night after Kabbalah Shabbos. And he said, listen, go eat, but you're coming back. And he said, because you guys are the same age as them. And the very least you can do is have another Seder of learning, and everyone should be learning tonight. So
there's nobody. There's not a Jew in the world.
There's not a Jew in the world.
Maybe the Jews at the Capitol today, but we don't have to talk about them. I think they need to check their Jewish lineage. I'm not really sure. So someone's going to have to look into their DNA and their Jewish lineage. But there's not a Jew in the world who's not feeling connected to the Jewish people, to our destiny, with gratitude to our soldiers. I'm saying Bells introduced the Mishberach Tzahal saying it, and Satmar is saying Avinu Malkeinu, and had Tehillim gatherings. And there is no right, left, and center. Now, it can be expressed differently by different people. Boca Raton Synagogue, we've done, we can't even count, because we had 2 massive Tehillim gatherings on Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah. Then we had a rally, took over Palmetto Park Road with 1,500 people. And then we had that Thursday night another Tehillim gathering where parents of soldiers spoke. And then we had a massive community Tehillim on Monday night. So, and the BRS, we have a certain way of doing it. We're comfortable with a flag, and at some, not always, sometimes we incorporate Star Spangled Banner, Hatikva. And there was a VOD, and not everybody is. But I think it's not a time to point out the differences and put up the walls and sit in judgment of who cares more, who loves more, who's more loyal. I think we find common ground. I mean, it's just the time to find, what do we have in common? What's our common language? What are our common mantras? What are our common beliefs? Where's the commonality? How can we be united? Because that's what we need. Yeah. We need to be united, all of us, one.
And I think we're feeling it. I think we're really feeling it. I think that there's something special happening to the Jewish people right now.
Yeah. And the question is, having been through this, unfortunately, before, how do we make it last? How do we bottle it? How do we make it last? How do we tell people what you feel right now, where you're just willing to overlook and oversee the divisions and differences? You just feel united in one. Yeah. How do we make sure that even when we'll go back to those important conversations and important differences, but we do it with that same love? Why do we need 1,400 people to be slaughtered? Why do we need an atrocity? Why do we need to be worried about 200 people who are still held captive? Why do I have to be worried about? So that's our challenge, all of us. Yeah. That's our challenge.
Listen, I hope this war is over tomorrow. I hope it's over right now. I hope they, but from what we're all hearing, it's not a 1-day war. It's not a 6-day war. It's going to be extended. I hope that maybe from the extended period of time of just working together or being together, we actually get used to it, and we won't. There'll still be the differences. I'm not saying it's not going to be, but we just get used to the achdus, whatever that means to someone.
I hope so. There's so many layers of pain to this. There's obviously the core layer of pain is the atrocity, is the 22 pogroms, the atrocity, the loss of life, the pain, the casualties, the loss of limbs, the injured, the fear of yet the unknown, the having to step up and serve, the interruption to all their life. All of that is unbearably painful. And every time you think like, okay, the pain is deep and it can't be compounded, there's like another thing. There's just another thing. And what happened? The media betrayed Israel, Jewish people, decent people everywhere, with their whole quick response to blame Israel for the bombing of that hospital, which it's really mind-boggling. The media, who are supposed to be objective journalists, reporters, confirm, have verifiable sources, and all of a sudden, a terrorist organization that, I won't get graphic, but we know brutally murdered and did much, much worse atrocities, they now became a reliable source. The New York Times headline, others, TV stations, and they just grabbed on and jumped onto that. And it's hard to reverse it. So they walked it back and they changed. The White House verified on its own as if Israel, a democracy in the Middle East, it's unbelievable, right? So Hamas claimed Israel bombed the hospital. It turns out it was the parking lot and it grazed the hospital. But I mean, of course, all civilian life, innocent life, we care about. I don't
Right.
mean to minimize that. But it turns out it wasn't Israel. It turns out it wasn't a direct kick to the hospital. It turns out, amazing. Israel took a long time to count their casualties. Hamas knew, even before the rocket landed, they knew 500 were
500.
killed.
Right. All of a sudden, it's not
You know,
500 anymore.
and there's no mea culpa. There's nobody coming out. There's nobody says, mistake and that's damage.
Right.
And if you are media who do that, if you believe and promote the propaganda of Hamas, you're an accomplice to Hamas, because you saw what happened. You saw the burning of embassies. You see the threat and danger to Jews. You see what happened at the Capitol. You see the consequence of reporting and believing bad actors and promoting their propaganda. Is you're an accomplice. You're an accomplice to terror. You're an accomplice to evil, and that's a betrayal. It's a betrayal not only of the Jewish people, betrayal not only of Israel. It's a betrayal of journalism and media. Ivy League administrations is an absolute betrayal right now. And I'll tell you, I'm proud of the Jewish people. One thing I'll tell you is we're organized and we're responding, right? So you've got billionaires who are pulling their nine-figure gifts. They're more than $200-300 million gifts. Hurt the Ivy Leagues in their pocket, turning it families that have historically been connected to Harvard, to University of Pennsylvania, to these other places and other things. There was a big movement to hang pictures of those who've been held captive in different places, bring attention, appropriate the hostages. And there are now videos of the people who've been ripping it down. So you know what the Jewish community's been doing? We find out who's
we know who you are.
And you know what? There were 2 people in Miami ripping down pictures. By 10 o'clock this morning, they were fired from their job. Not because this is like a cancel culture, but there's a difference between I disagree with your politics, or I disagree with your gendering, or I disagree with what sports teams you root for, and you sympathize and you identify with brutal murder terrorists. Right. So there's just so many layers of betrayal, and it's so painful.
Wow.
Somebody sent me a text today.
Yeah.
And they said, we've been so worried about the Holocaust survivors. We're losing them. There's so few left. And within a few years, there'll be no more. And then who's going to tell the story? How will our children believe us about the Holocaust? So they said, now we have another generation to tell a story. Of course, it's not 6 million. Of course, the magnitude can't begin to compare. And I'm not comparing it.
Right.
But did we ever think that we'd be talking about pogroms? Did we ever think we'd be talking about, again, I won't get graphic, but the stories, the images, the videos, the what we've seen?
I spoke to a Holocaust survivor today, and you know what they said? And again, only a Holocaust survivor could say this. They said this is worse. Now, again, it's not worse in number and scale. It's much different. But what did they mean? They said because this is in Israel. This is in Israel. This is the one place we're supposed to be safe, and that's why it's so scary. We feel so alone. We feel so isolated and so vulnerable.
And I'd actually say that it's mixed feelings, because in many ways we're not alone, right? There's been a groundswell of support. Elected leaders, President Biden going to Israel's extraordinary first sitting president to go into a war zone to show support. We're not alone. We have overwhelming support of elected leadership, overwhelming support of countries around the world, overwhelming support even of the media, at least certainly at first, and some throughout. But there are pockets, and those pockets are
They're loud.
They're loud.
They're loud,
scary, dangerous.
You're right. Yeah.
I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, and Rabbi, do you know last night at a town council meeting in Teaneck, New Jersey, there was a huge group waving Palestinian flags, yelling Allah Akbar, threatening Jews. Police were involved. Teaneck. I can send you the videos from this.
It's scary.
One Jew I know, Bobby Rosalimsky, was getting into his car. He yelled Allah Akbar, slammed on his windshield. He had to get the police. This is
scary. This is Teaneck, New Jersey.
Teaneck, New Jersey.
It's crazy.
Teaneck.
Oh, this is crazy. I got a text. You also got a text. We got texts on our WhatsApp today. Palestinian flags from some guy in Egypt.
Yeah, we have 2 groups. We have groups that we started for parents with kids in Israel, for parents of IDF soldiers. We started a few groups just to make people feel connected. They have a community. And 2 of the groups now have been infiltrated, so to say, by a Hamas sympathizer who somehow got the link, joined the group, and then posted horrible things. And one of them, quickly I deleted and removed them from the group. And they just started calling people one by one from a different group. And these are scary times. I saw somebody posted October 7th was a pogrom, a massacre. October 17th was a blood libel about the misreporting in the hospital.
Right.
So there's a lot to be optimistic and hopeful and proud and feeling united and feeling strong. And they've unleashed an absolute beast in the Jewish people. And there's a lot to be scared and concerned and worried. And it's a reality check about the Jewish condition in the world.
What do you think about the fact that just 2 weeks ago the Jews were looking at a civil war? You had President Biden that wouldn't meet with Bibi in when he flew into America. Now you got
Right.
President Biden flying Air Force One landing in
Right.
Israel today for just a few hours. The world is flipped. Everything's flipped upside down.
Terrifying for good and for bad, but the world is flipped upside down. 100%. We haven't heard the words judicial reform in 10 days.
Right.
Demonstrations, rallies. Every Jew is just a Jew and loves a fellow Jew.
Right.
And
everyone who threatened they wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
You have
And
150%.
how many in the Jewish community who felt alienated from Israel because of kotel policies or conversion policies or judicial reform policies, who now like are can't sleep at night because they're worried about Israel. Jews united, Jews together, Jews working towards each other, Jews selfless, Jews praying, Jews, it's unfortunate that it takes this. We got to bottle it. We got to continue it. We got to build upon it. 100%. All right, so let's bring on
wow,
conversations with some really extraordinary people on the front lines living it, and really inspiring, and hopefully it inspires all of us to think about more we can do, the difference that we can make, and the more that we can involve. So without any further ado, some really extraordinary good friends. Again, with Ambassador Friedman, who is a good friend of our community, a good friend of ours, a good friend of Behind the Bima. Ambassador, you've been in Israel. You've been there now since before the holidays, and you are, I know, working around the clock, day and night, doing all that you can as an American patriot and as an incredible supporter of Israel. Could you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, where you've been going, what you're seeing, and what we should know?
So I think I would divide what I'm doing into two categories. One is just traveling around and trying to see all the things that need to be seen. And most importantly, I've been going to hospitals and visiting the wounded. And let me tell you, it's an incredible experience because you think about it for a second, someone's in the hospital wounded and the families are there. And it should be kind of a serious moment, but the flip side of it is these are the winners, right? These are the ones who are alive. So many of their friends are dead right now. So it's this bittersweet moment that they're totally consumed with the fact of what's going on and the fact they've lost so many colleagues and comrades. At the same time, they're thanking God that they're alive, and the parents and the families, of course, are feeling that way. And the one thing that I'm struck by is how every single person there, people who've lost legs, people who've lost arms, the wounded, they want to get back into the front. They want to go back to work. They want to go back into the army. So that's one is just, and that's really, frankly, I think they do more for me than I do for them. And so, but I do it anyway. The second thing is that there is a thirst within America for what to do. People want to know what to do. How can we help? And in particular, where I perhaps add a little bit of value is I have so many good relationships with so many decision makers in government that I'm really working with them to try to help develop the packages that they need. I'm a private citizen. At the same time, there isn't any ambassador right now in Israel. So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that what Israel needs, Israel gets, and I'm also trying to make sure that Israel is given the time. I mean, if you ask anyone in the military, what does Israel need from America? It's not medical supplies. It's not even ammunition and Iron Dome. It's time. They want time. They want to be able to prosecute this war against Hamas with the luxury of the time that is necessary to do it. Where number one, they can be successful in their efforts. Number two, they can avoid taking action that puts their own soldiers at risk. So all of that is a full day, and I'm grateful that I'm here, because I think I would feel I just feel lost if I was not in Israel right now. Let me just say one more thing. I know this is a conversation. You don't need me to just go speaking, but and I made this point that on Shmini Atzeret, or Simchat Torah in Israel, we begin saying Mashiva Ruach, right? And you may have heard this already, but I heard it from someone. I thought it was really striking. Mashiva Ruach, technically means let the wind and the rain be restored in the winter season. But Ruach, as you know, also means spirit. And I can tell you that having been here for the better part of the last year and seeing conflicts, the internal conflicts that were driving Israel really to a point of real division. Soldiers were questioning whether they want to serve for a particular government. People were out every night protesting. The language was acerbic and very hard to listen to. Well, we paid a massive price, a price that no one should ever have to pay. But when we said Mashiv Haruach on Simchat Torah here in Israel, it meant something different. The spirit of the country has been restored.
Wow.
People on the left, people on the right, people who are secular, people who aren't Jewish. I mean, everybody is together right now. And again, too high a price to pay for that, but everybody is together. 300,000 soldiers were called up in the reserves. It's the largest call up in the history of the country.
Right.
And 350,000 soldiers showed up. I mean, just to give you a sense, the country is united like never before. And, as a famous rabbi said, Jews are great we're great at dying together. We're not so good at living together. Well, hopefully this will teach us also how to live together a little bit better.
Amen. Absolutely. Now, Ambassador, from your perspective, and after all of your incredible work, the U.S.-Israel relationship, first of all, it's gratifying, and people can always nitpick, and they're hopefully partisanship is set aside right now. But the president in the middle of a war, President Biden coming over, showing support, saying the right things, and even setting the story straight about the hospital, it's gratifying. It's important. We're very grateful for it. Among your major contributions, including moving the embassy, were the Abraham Accords and the relationship with Israel's neighbors. Is there concern that support might be frayed? Is there concern that those countries with whom Israel has established those relationships now is torn? Who to support, or where are they? Could you describe from your vantage point, and with those relationships, where are those other nations that Israel made such progress with the Abraham Accords as Israel's now under attack and in this war?
Look, I think the countries that are already in that Abraham Accord circle of trust, as we call it, I don't think they're going anywhere, because they understand that one of the features of the Abraham Accords is uniting countries who all share a common threat. The common threat is radical Islamic extremism, and whether it's Hamas, or whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood, or whether it's Al Qaeda or ISIS or Hezbollah, all the countries that are in the Abraham Accord universe have those threats themselves. They all know what Hamas is like. They all know what they're capable of doing, without seeing the pictures, without the social media, without seeing these horrific pictures that I continue to wake up at night in cold sweat. They know about them already. They know them better than we do, frankly. And so I don't think it's going to undo the Abraham Accords. It's going to make it harder in the short run to move things forward. I think it's going to take Saudi Arabia a long time to get back on track. I think they were moving towards normalization, but I think the fundamentals of the Abraham Accords will stay. And Rabbi, let me just say one thing about the president's speech today. I'm one of his fiercest critics, and there were even a couple of things today that I didn't like. I don't want to hear today about a two-state solution. It's the last thing I want to hear about. But what he said today was extraordinary, and I think not just what he said, but what he did, flying into a war zone, is really unprecedented for a president. And as much as I really didn't like him, and I may not like him in the future, I really liked him today. And I think that all of us, and believe me, I gave him credit a week ago. I got castigated from some of the people that are very politically dug in. But the bottom line is that in a war, you rally around the leader. That's what you do. Right. When the war is over, we can go back and do a post-mortem. We can talk about policies on Iran. We can talk about about Israel's. We can talk about all those things and hopefully make sure it never happens again. But right now, we rally around the flag. We rally around the leaders, and I think we have to all deeply appreciate what the president did for Israel today. I think he did enormous good in terms of raising the morale, and I think the things he's promising to do, whether it's bringing the aircraft carriers off the coast of Israel. Making it clear, essentially looking Hezbollah in the eye and saying, don't, extraordinary. Very proud to be an American.
Can I just ask you, this caught us off guard. We were all in shul when it happened. Where were you when it happened? And how did you react? You were shocked. What happened next?
So what happened was at about 7:30 in the morning on Shabbat, which was also in Israel, it was a big day, Shmini Atzeret, Shabbat, and Simchat Torah. So a lot going on that day. 7:30 in the morning, I think I was just getting ready to leave the door, and I got I have security detail here, and I saw that they were trying to reach me, and I picked up the phone, and they said, "Don't leave the house." And then I started to get, and what had happened was, they began to send me film videos, homemade videos of Hamas terrorists driving around some of these cities in the south. And you know, I had never seen anything like that before. I mean, we've had rocket attacks, we've had terrorist attacks, but we've never had, a couple of thousand Hamas terrorists driving around the south like they own the place, like, going from town to town. And then he said to me, "Stay home." And I really kind of thought twice, but I said to myself, even if I go to shul, what am I, what kind of a simchat Torah is it going to be going to shul with this going on? We managed to scrape together a minyan inside the building. We said, those of us who needed to say Yizkor said Yizkor inside the building. I have a Sefer Torah here, so we were able to put together a makeshift minyan. But look, it was just absolute shock, and I don't know that I'll ever. I hope I never see anything like that again. And I'll tell you, the first couple of days, I mean, Shabbos, Sunday, I don't think anybody knew if we were going to be okay. I mean, I think we were concerned that the whole country had been overrun by terrorists inside or in the midst. This fence on the border of Gaza and Israel hadn't been breached in 50 years. When Donald Trump used to talk about building the wall, he used to point to this fence and say, "Look, look how well the fence works. I'm going to build a wall. It's going to be even better." I mean, this was the paradigm of a security barrier, and it just got breached. And not only was it the horror of seeing these barbarians coming in and committing atrocities, but it was that loss of trust in the people that are supposed to keep us safe. I mean, we have such confidence in the IDF and the Israeli intelligence and the Shabak and the government. It's a founding principle in Israel. We count on the government to keep us safe. We may not agree with everything else they're doing. So this was the Yom Kippur War, I think, frankly, times 10, and it really shook us all. Now, Mikam Chai Yisrael, the rebound only took a couple of days, and I'm pretty confident now that we're back on track. I mean, I feel we're back on track, but I'll tell you, and I say this reluctantly, we're on track because of the people of Israel, not necessarily because of the leaders of Israel. I mean, I don't know the extent to which anyone is culpable, and I'm not looking to go in that direction. But even those people who have lost confidence in the government, the people of Israel,
that's a great point,
are rising to the occasion.
That's a great point. And Ambassador, well, thank you so much for your time. We'll ask you one last question, which is, I know you have a very close relationship with Mike Pompeo. You just released this series that highlights the Judeo-Christian connection to the land, and you have that in common, in addition to so much that you worked so closely on. Some have pointed out, I don't know it's entirely accurate, that the Christian leadership voice in America seems somewhat absent from this conversation. And as staunch as they've been in supporting Israel in other times, right now in the rallies, in the prayer vigils, and just in the media, I'm not seeing that leadership. In fact, some of my faith leaders and other religions who've reached out in the past or have worked for Israel in the past, I haven't heard from them. They've gone dark. Is that a concern of yours? Do you know where that's coming from? Should we be doing more in that area?
Yeah, I mean, Rabbi, I'm not finding that. If you look today at page 2 of the Jerusalem Post, you'll see a letter to President Biden, asking him to make sure that he protects Israel. I'm the first signatory, but then there's 50 other signatories, of which 25 are rabbis and 25 are pastors. And I've been on the phone nonstop with the evangelical Christian community. I've been doing webinars for them. Here's the difference. We mobilize faster because it hits us so close. I mean, so many of us have family in Israel, and so many of us are just, we're just in such pain. I think we mobilize faster. I think a lot of them don't know what to do exactly right now. They're there absolutely rock solid. I just sent you a clip that I did on with Gordon Robertson, Pat Robertson's son, on the 700 Club. I've been on 4 or 5. I've been on every single Christian TV network multiple times. Every time I appear, the first thing they say is how much their audience is praying for Israel, praying for my family. I mean, it's 100% there, and I just think they just don't mobilize as quickly as we do. I don't think they're much larger, and being larger is to a certain extent means that there's lots of different pockets of support. But I can tell you, for example, President Trump had a faith council led by Paula White, who's a friend of mine. I've spoken to her 6 times. All she's asking me to do is, what should we do? How can we help? What can we do? How can we help? They're all reaching out to their elected officials. This is not a group that typically, gets together and does demonstrations, but they're very large churches. I mean, they're churches with 5,000-10,000 people. They're all completely on board. I spoke to Pastor Hagee, who you know, and who I love. Pastor Hagee told me he raised $5 million in a week.
Wow.
For whatever Israel needs. So I mean, you made us just not be seeing it, partly because I think we're all right now running around in circles trying to help, but they're out there. I wouldn't worry.
That's very reassuring, and really, really happy to hear that. Ambassador, thank you for all you've done, all that you're doing, all that you will do. Stay safe, stay strong, and thank you. Please, God, we'll continue our conversations in much happier and better times with a swift Israeli victory and restoring the peace and safety that we know Israel desperately wants and deserves and needs. And we'll look forward to spending more time with you in Israel, if not when you're back on this side.
Amen. Thank you, guys.
Our dear friend Eli Beer, founder, United Hatzalah, hero of the Jewish people. Eli, this is the record-setting 3rd time that you were on Behind the Bima. The first time you survived COVID. The second time we celebrated the Art Scroll book about Hatzalah and you. And now another horrific crisis, tragedy, atrocity. I know you're working nonstop. I know from my parents, from others, Hatzalah doing unprecedented things that you never imagined you had found this organization to have to do and to be there for. What is this experience? Have you been able to breathe? Have you been able to process? Where are you in this whole experience?
Well, it's definitely the worst time of my life. We actually went into the homes of people that were slaughtered, and the things we saw in our own eyes, I couldn't believe. I thought it was in the beginning when I started hearing from the volunteers needed help. We have in our command center over 2,000 calls that came in over and over from people begging us to come save them. They were hiding in the attic. They were hiding in the shelter. They were hiding behind the bushes. They were hiding on trees. They were running away. We heard shooting. We heard people who were saying, we hid a child in a certain place. We're going to be killed, but save our child. Things you don't imagine things could happen in 2023 in Israel. I'm not talking about Ukraine or this is Eretz Israel. Went through a little mini Holocaust. This is mamish like a Holocaust. I felt like after 12 days and talking to hundreds of volunteers who were there, we had over 1,700 volunteers who were there, either lived there or came to assist. And you talk to them and you realize these guys are partisan. These are the stories I heard about partisans. I just came home 5 minutes ago. I was out the whole day. I came home. I have to get out of the house at 2:30 in the morning. So I'm going to go to sleep for a couple of hours. And my wife was telling me another story. My wife, Gitti, who you know, she's a paramedic. She went out to save people's lives. She treated 41 people, including intubating, including needle, including anything you can imagine, including, unfortunately, also pronouncing people dead. Jewish people dead. Like, and he couldn't do anything, just dead. But all of a sudden, she's driving under fire, missiles in the air. She's driving the ambulance. We were the only ambulances, Rabbi. We were the only ambulances that were operating in the first day. Inside. We went in. It was too dangerous. No, a lot of our organizations didn't want to go in. It was too dangerous. The army was there. Unfortunately, many of the soldiers got killed because of that. And they were there. Unfortunately, they were waiting for them. We went in. We have 2 volunteers that were murdered. We have 2 volunteers missing. We have 8 volunteers injured. We had another volunteer who was hung up on a pole for 8 hours. He was hung up on a light post. One of our doctor volunteers, who was actually a Muslim, and they purposely hung him up that he should see how they're murdering Jews. And only 8 or 9 hours later, he was released. And my wife's driving the ambulance, and all of a sudden she sees a fire on the side of the road, and you see all these cars and people laying everywhere dead. They didn't even stop. They couldn't stop. You see dead right away. The amount of shooting they did on these Jews, you didn't even have to go out of the ambulance to see it. You saw it driving 70, 80 kilometers an hour. You could see the dead. There was no chance. All of a sudden, my wife sees bushes burning and a Jewish body on the side. My wife tells the ambulance driver, stop, Gitty. He says, what happened? You see anyone dead? He said, no, stop. She jumps out of the ambulance in a dangerous area. This is next to Barry. And she runs over. She starts pulling the Jew that was starting to burn out of the fire that his body shouldn't burn. And the ambulance driver came to help her. She said, at least in a couple of hours when they recover the body, at least he's not going to be burned.
Wow.
We saw a Jew at 8 o'clock in the morning who was shot with a talus on him. He had maybe 20 bullets in his body. And maybe 12 hours later, our volunteers saw the same body again, the same place, the same, nothing touched. The guy was still with his talus. And only maybe a day later, they were able to take him.
So Hatzalah became Hatzalah, the Chaver Kadisha, the social work,
everything
became the army, the security forces. Hatzalah went from delivering babies and saving splinters, obviously much more than that, saving lives and what you do regularly throughout the year, saving lives constantly. But all these other tasks too. It's unimaginable.
Where were you, Eli? Where were you when you got the call? And like, how do you react? Who do you call first? Like, who's your first phone call to? What happens next?
I was staying. We were all together, the whole family. I got a phone call at 6:40 from our dispatch in Yerushalayim. We do Toraniyot on Shabbat. You know, who's in charge of the dispatch in case some big emergency happens. So this Shabbos, that Shabbos of Simchas Torah, I was in charge. Usually I'm never in Israel. I'm traveling. But I was the first phone call they called. And they said one of our volunteers was injured by a shooting. I was like shocked. That woke me up. Shooting 6:40 in the morning. This is like, you have to understand, this is Simchas Torah, beautiful Simchas Torah, Yerushalayim. And also I get a call. I said, what are you talking about? They said, in Sderot, a volunteer of ours was shot. He's yelling for help. He says they have a war going on. I said, that guy's probably on medicines or something. Maybe check out. Maybe this guy's like a little mental. Like no war, no nothing. All of a sudden, I start hearing missile attacks everywhere in Israel. Like, okay, missile attacks. Maybe they confused it with shooting. What happened was a rabbi, his name is Rabbi Chaim Sassi, was a volunteer of ours in Sderot. He went out to a call of shooting. And it was like, we have so many calls of shooting. It doesn't make any headlines, shooting in Israel, unfortunately, because they have a lot of Arabs shooting on Arabs all the time. And we have a lot of calls. Sderot had a shooting, so he went to the police station for the shooting. And he went with the ambucycle. When he got close to the police station, he saw 20 terrorists in front of his eyes, standing there with machine guns, MK-47s, Kalashnikovs. They're all waiting for him. And they see him. He starts shooting towards his direction. This guy is like probably a 55-year-old guy. He has grandchildren at home. He's a firm guy. He's a dayan in the basin in Sderot. He pulls out his gun while he's driving the ambucycle from his right hand, and he starts shooting back. He got 4 of the terrorists. One of them he killed. They got him in his face, and then in his leg, and then his arm, and he fell off the ambucycle. He was seriously injured, and he starts yelling, "A war, war, war!" And that's the guy that started the war by us. And that's when I woke up. I went straight to the dispatch. My wife, Kitty, my son-in-laws, 2 son-in-laws that are all Hatzalah, my daughter, Abigail, they all ran down there to Sderot because we knew Sderot. We didn't know the whole area. Sderot, a war. So we went to help out. Then we heard another volunteer on the way. Another volunteer, his name is Nehorai Darshan, who went to save Rabbi Chaim Sassi. He was shot, like 20 bullets in his car. It was a Hatzalah car. And he right away left the car there. The car, by the way, the engine was on for 15 hours alone. They couldn't get to that car. 15 hours the engine was on till the gasoline finished. And he really, when I heard these things, shooting from different directions, then we started getting phone calls from people begging us to come help rescue them. Like they couldn't call who are you going to call, the police? The police weren't answering the phones. They were shot. And I'm going to make a seder and the things. I'll explain you how it happened. These terrorists, they came very organized. This was a well-planned siege over Israel. And a big nest, by the way. I'll tell you why, a big nest. These guys were trained either Iran, Russia. Who knows? Russia is a big tzaddikim. They wanted to do this thing to diverse their war. They donated a lot of money, apparently a few weeks before, to Hamas. Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, they came 6:15, 6:30, 6:20, whatever it was. They attacked all the army stations on the border, and they came with drones, and they literally blew up the drones inside the command rooms where all the, like all the computers and all the alarms and everything. They killed a lot of the soldiers there. They started shooting missiles on Israel, like dozens and dozens of missiles. So everyone's running to the bomb shelters. Then they come out of the blue. They have farmers on the side of Aliza. For the last few months, they had farmers working the land there purposely to make the soldiers used to these farmers that are there. Usually, they don't have so many farmers on the border, but these guys from Gaza are farming. And all these farmers, all of a sudden, when the missiles attacks happen, they take out guns. They start shooting the police, the army guys, the soldiers, out Chayalim. They killed most of them. And then they came with tractors. They broke down the borders. 2,900 terrorists came into Israel. 2,900. After them, hundreds of barbarian, not terrorists, just thieves and rapists and who knows what, came into Israel just to steal and rape. So this is what happened that morning. So 7 o'clock in the morning, all these yeshuvim, you're talking about, dozens of yeshuvim were attacked by 2,900 terrorists. These terrorists knew where to go. They went to the police station of Hakim, which is 30 minutes away. They went to the police station of Shderot, Netivot, and other places, and they took over the police stations. They killed the cops. These cops, 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, are not ready for some kind of a war.
Right.
Now, the army are not like Hatzalah. The army doesn't come in 90 seconds. The army takes sometimes, hours, days usually, to get an army together. Most of the soldiers, family members of yours who are in the army, in the weekends, like Simchas Torah, they go, 90% of the soldiers go home for vacation.
Right.
So they hardly had any soldiers, and the soldiers that were there were surprised, and they were shot. A lot of them were killed. Hundreds of soldiers were killed, hundreds. So they were, by the way, the doors were open to Haifa. From Shderot, think about it, they were doing a massacre all over, taking over land, taking over cities, taking over kibbutzim, hostage. They were killing people, and they could have continued to Yerushalayim, where hundreds of thousands of people lived.
Right.
The big nest was, the big nest, no one thinks about it. They had 2 policemen between Shderot to Yerushalayim that were giving speeding tickets. Think about it. That's all we had, security from Shderot to Yerushalayim. So if they would have taken all these vans that they had and all these cars, these pickup trucks with the RPGs and MK-47s headed to Yerushalayim, you would have talked about tens of thousands of people dead, if not hundreds.
Unimaginable. Eli, tell us, we saw the images today. President Biden, big statement, the U.S. president flying to Israel in the middle of a war, saying all the right things, throwing in a Dvar Torah. Again, whatever one's politics, whatever one wants in the election next year, for right now, I think that all those who love Israel in the U.S. need to rally around the U.S. president who's doing and saying the right things and show hakaras hatov, gratitude. I know, and we saw the video, the image that he met with you. What was that like? What does it mean for you, for the Israeli people, for Hatzalah, Is there a morale boost that the president of the United States comes personally during a war, says, I'm here, we have your back, moves aircraft carriers in? What did the two of you talk about?
So first of all, I was like shocked. 2 days ago, I got a phone call from a representative of the White House in Jerusalem and the embassy. She says, "Are you Eli Beer?" I said, "Yes." She said, "The president would like to invite you personally to meet him in the Kempinski Hotel in Tel Aviv. Do you have time?" Oh, she was apologizing. She said, "I know you're very busy, and if you can't make it, I understand. But if you could, the president would be very happy." I thought she's fooling me. Like it sounds like someone would do to me once in a while, but not in a war. Like this is a funny joke. But I was like, I didn't believe it in the beginning. I said, "Listen, I'm not sure if I could clear my calendar. I have a busy schedule, but let me check it out. I'll get back to you." Like I really wanted to see if this is real or not. But I'll tell you, when I got there this morning, we spent an hour and a half together with the president. And I was talking to the president. I never in my life felt a person with so much pain in his eyes. He had pain. You saw the pain coming out of his heart. He at least made us feel like he is suffering from our miseries, like what we are suffering from. He constantly said, "Ellie," he said, "you should just know," he said, "what I suffered when I lost my wife and son in a car accident." Or he lost his son, so he said, in Iraq or somewhere. He said he lost 2 kids, 2 sons out of 3 he lost, and his wife. He says, "I feel the same now." He says, "I feel the same now." He kept saying that over and over. And he says, I was telling him stories about heroism, about one of our volunteers who found these 2 babies. They told him a story, and he couldn't get over that. He says, "I can't believe these things happen today. Like, unheard of. The president of the United States, the strongest man in the world, strongest country in the world, comes to Israel for meeting the prime minister of Israel and the government cabinet, and then meeting with us. We were only a few people. And sitting them for an hour and a half, and I honestly, I could have said more, but I didn't feel well already. I was like, my throat is killing me. After an hour and a half, I just left the hotel, the Kempinski, and I said, "You know what? He's probably going to stay another few hours because they offered to stay and had food there and had a press conference." I said, "I'm out," and then he just left the country, and he came for literally 6 hours or 8 hours, and I think this was the biggest boost that Israel ever got in times of war. Thinking about, you're too young to remember the Yom Kippur War, when Golda Meir was begging for support from America. And we had a Jew, unfortunately, that then said, "I am first American, second, I'm Secretary of State, and third, I'm only a Jew." Right? I'm a Jew third. The president of the United States said to me these words: "You don't need to be a Jew to be a Zionist."
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he said it. I was like, is this real? Now, I'm not a politician. I don't care right or left, the Democrats, Republican. I'm United Hatzalah. I have Arabs, I have Jews, I have Haredi, I have secular. I always preached all my life about Achdus in Israel. And now you see how much I was right. The only way people went against me many years ago, you know this. Eli, you're joining in Arabs, you're joining this, you're joining secular, you're joining Reform Jews. I join anyone who wants to go through a 1-year course of how to save a baby from choking. A 1-year course, he's accepted to be in United Hatzalah.
What's the Arab volunteers? What's the response to all this been like for them? Are people harassing them? Are they safe? Are people concerned? Like the person you thought was your friend, what if it turns out that they're with the other side? Have they expressed a lot of sympathy? What's that been like within the organization?
Well, you're asking a great question. I ask that question every day, and I check these Arab volunteers, and I always like looking at them and what they feel. You would know that the day that this whole thing started on Shabbat, we had over 100 Arab volunteers who came from Yerushalayim and other cities to help out in treating and saving people, putting their life in danger. One of our Arab volunteers, Awad, his name is Awad, from Nazareth, came to be there, and he didn't want to run away when they started shooting on him. He was working to save people, and he was caught by the Arabs, by these Hamas guys, and he was tortured. His body was unrecognizable. We found him 4 days later. He was an Arab United Hatzalah volunteer who gave his life. Guess what, Rabbi? I wish I could show you this video now. We had 50 volunteers on motorcycles in his Levaya in Nazareth. 50 volunteers of United Hatzalah, from guys with payas, with tzitzis outside, came to his Levaya, an Arab guy, and when they buried him, a few volunteers went over to the caver and said Kaddish.
Wow.
I was crying when I heard this.
Yeah.
This gives me a little hope that we can overcome this, because we have a few million Arabs living here. And if we have a few people like Awad here, we can't get, this is not a country that has one type of color. It has everyone. But we need to find our allies. Hamas, everyone knows Hamas is enemies not only of Israel, not only of Judaism, is enemies of humanity.
Right.
And they want to kill everyone who's not like them, even Arabs. Bedouins, we had an Arab Bedouin doctor who was going to his hospital in Barzilai, and he got the Hatzalah call. And he responded to the call. He thought it was a shooting, like a regular shooting. All of a sudden, they caught him. They shot him all over. He was alive. He started yelling in Arabic to them, and they didn't believe him. He's Arabic. He said Quran stuff on him. He said the psukim of Quran. They tortured him. They hung him up on a pole for 8 or 9 hours. He was there hanging.
Unimaginable.
This is stuff. I want to say that I'm so proud to be a Jew. I'm so proud to be an Israeli, an American too. I'm very proud to be an American. I'm an American citizen. I'm very, very proud of it. Jew, Israeli, American, and I'm proud of all of them, but I'm proud to be a United Hatzalah person. And I'm a regular guy. I just love the volunteers. I would give my life for them. I would give my life for Israel. My son now is fighting in the Israeli army. I'm very, very proud of him, my son, Israel. And we have a very special country. We went through the worst tragedy this country ever saw. I spoke to Doron Almog today. We had a very long conversation. Doron Almog, you know him. He was a general in the Yom Kippur War. And I said, what's worse, Yom Kippur War or this? He said, definitely this, no question.
Wow.
Yeah. Those wars were soldiers against soldiers. Eli, you're proud of all that, and we're proud to know you. We love you. We thank you. And we're davening for you. We're davening for the volunteers. We're davening for the soldiers. We're davening for everyone in Israel. You're all we think about. You're all we're working hard on. You're all we care about, and we hope to come see you and do whatever we can to show our love in person very soon. Get some sleep. You desperately need it, because we know there's a lot more work ahead.
And I want to thank you, Rabbi. You're giving chizuk to so many people. Two Rabbanim, two of the rabbis I love, Rabbi Brody and Rabbi Goldberg. I want to say thank you to you and all your support to United Hatzalah. We have incredible people just saying, you need an ambulance, you need a motorcycle. We have someone just called us, Mercedes in Germany called us. We have 40 ambulances in order by them, 40 ambulances, Mercedes ambulances. They called us and they said they're giving us a donation of $500,000 as these are goyim, Mercedes and things. So I think this calls every Jew in the world to support, of course.
Wow.
And people should give, a lot of ways of helping. They have a lot of great organizations. And I'm telling people here that listen to you, all these packing and things are incredible. They're amazing. But if you really want to help, just go on the website of any organization. I mean, I would love if you could do it in United Hatzalah. Give him money. We are an organization, we operate all year round. We're not a pop-up organization coming and leaving. We need support, financial support. We know what to buy. We know where to buy it from. We could buy everything. We're not in Africa in some picky place. People send us, we got 2 big boxes of tampons, United Hatzalah, from the United States. It's beautiful. But we have supermarkets, we can buy them here. We know what we need. We know the medicines we need. We know the oxygen tanks we need. And we know the ambulances we need and everything we could do. So if you go on israelrescue.org, donate and support United Hatzalah. And support other causes, of course. Support your shul.
Absolutely. No, support Israel. Everything's Israel right now. We're proud. Our community's connection with Hatzalah. We know many people. And
it's called United Hatzalah because we are separate than Hatzalah in Florida, which you should support too. Hatzalah in Florida is a great organization, but we are in Israel. Hatzalah in New York is New York.
Absolutely.
called United Hatzalah. You can look at israelrescue.org.
Everyone here knows what it is, Ellie. We all
Yeah,
know it.
they
We
all
all
know
love
you.
it, and we all know you. Get some sleep. We love you. Please, God, the fourth time you come back behind the Bima, it'll be because the Israelis had a sweeping victory. We eliminated this
Amen.
evil from the earth, and we've restored safety
Amen.
and security. And please, God, you can go back to delivering babies and hopefully being here for good things and saving lives that happen in the ordinary times. But we thank you. We thank Hashem for you. And get some sleep. Stay safe. Stay strong. We love you.
Thank you.
Joined now by Mayor Aliza Pilichowski. Mayor, thank you so much for all your work. I know even before this war broke out, your leadership that you've been showing your community and well beyond has been extraordinary. We know it firsthand from when you lived in Boca Raton, you and Rabbi Pilichowski. Your leadership and your fingerprints are still all over this community in beautiful ways. Take us through a little bit what's going on, your family, how this is being impacted, your community, your responsibility in terms of security as mayor. Tell us first of all how you're doing.
Okay, well, first of all, it's really nice to I feel like a little bit like I'm back at home in Boca, sitting in your office, Rabbi Goldberg, and with Rabbi Brody. It's really nice to feel like we're back in the BRS world.
The team.
Those are good memories, and it's nice to be back there. We're looking forward to the day that both of you and the entire Boca Raton community come and live in Israel, and hopefully many of you will come and live in Mitzvah Yericho, and we'll be able to recreate Yemei Kedem right here. So I'm going to start with today, and then we'll start working backwards, and keep me online when I start tangentially telling stories. So right now, going on right now in Mitzvah Yericho, I'll tell you what's happening. There's a huge room right now of boys, men, women, and girls who there's a special psak right now that women, I'm not sure exactly what part of the tzitzis making they're allowed to do. And there's basically a tzitzis factory happening right here in Mitzvah Yericho, making tzitzis for soldiers. Simultaneously, we have a group of soldiers. I can't talk about it too much, but there's a large group of soldiers here in Mitzvah that we're feeding, and we're also feeding hundreds of other soldiers in the neighboring yeshuvim. All of that is being cooked here in Mitzvah and then being brought out to the yeshuvim. So 3 meals a day, cookies, cakes, everything else. And then there's a whole dude of like a whole unit of laundry. So all the soldiers' laundry is all packed up in bags. Each bag has a name on it. I was able to do a bag of laundry myself. Take the laundry, you have to keep the bag. You wash all the clothes, fold them up. It was very exciting to wash very smelly madim, fold them back up and send them back to the chayal. And they all sent back the bags as they opened it up. Every single family sends back with a petek that says, we love you, Am Yisrael Chai, we're with you. With a plate of cookies or whatever, each family, whatever little treats they can send back. That's going on right now. In addition, we have about 40 families from the south that have relocated to Mitzvah for however long it's going to be. And those families also are being fed and doing their laundry and providing all kinds of daycare services and everything that they may need going on in Mitzvah.
So the community has mobilized to help all the neighbors and communities.
Yes. And it's a very strange thing because on the one hand, it feels like camp. Everyone's like doing and running and then then you stop for a minute and you lo aleinu, we open up our phones and we see this nightmare that we're really in the middle of. And it's a very, very weird reality of living in a nightmare and living in one of the greatest times of Klal Yisrael, like being there for each other. The feelings of having Biden here and really, his words today, I'm you all, both of you rabbis have very inspiring words, but to hear his words, his words of Torah were like, it was unbelievably inspiring and comforting that people care.
Absolutely.
And we got where Spodek came and brought this community of Boca Raton. What you all do there is, it's unreal. It's unreal.
It's a
We're
tiny
sitting
part.
here.
We're doing next to nothing. But tell us
Oh my
about your.
God.
Tell us more about responsibility as
Wait,
mayor.
I just want to tell. I need to tell. I'm sorry. I need to tell you. So Ray Spodek calls me and he says, "Okay, I'm gonna come at 8 p.m. Great, no problem. Get everything ready, all ready at 8 p.m." He's like, "Okay, it looks like we're gonna be a little bit later. I'm not sure exactly what time." Midnight, he comes. He comes with his duffels filled with medical supplies. My whole medical team and army team are there waiting for him. It was the most incredibly inspiring moment. He takes out everything, the stuff you can't get in Israel right now. So if Rabbi Spodek hadn't come to Israel and hand delivered it, we would not have had it. And he brought it, and then that's great, and that's what we really need. But what he brought that we didn't know we needed were the care packages that the children from Boca made, with notes and little snacks and deodorant, and he's handing it out to the soldiers. One of the soldiers started crying to know that all of Am Yisrael is behind us, and behind every one of our soldiers that are putting their lives on the line every single minute. It's unreal. Mika Amcha Yisrael. So I'm sorry for the
That is amazing. No, that's okay. I'm gonna let you do that. But I'm actually gonna hold on. Let's bring on. We got Yitzchak.
Whoa! Look at this.
We're gonna bring him on right now together.
I just spoke about you.
So Yitzchak, we got Aliza Pilichowski on here also. She was just describing what it meant when you and your father brought all the duffels and the bags and everything from Boca. Yitzchak, tell us where you are right now. What's been going on? Yitzchak grew up in Boca Raton, served in the army, and last Motzei Shabbat, Yitzchak and his father, Rabbi Josh Spodek, got on the plane. Took how many duffels did you take with you?
39. 39 bags. 39 duffels.
39 bags. Yitzchak, where are you now? What are you up to?
We are currently in Bnei Adam. It's a small yeshuv outside of Yerushalayim. We're here with the Chayalim that are in the area and doing their guard duty, their shmirot, really for all of the yeshuvim in the area. I'm here with the Mempei, who's the lead commander of the area, and the other Chayalim, and we're basically doing for them just a massive barbecue. And they literally keep coming in and out because they have to continuously go and do their guard duties. They have to go to their different posts and do their guard duties. So they come and they go. I just went out with one of them, one of the commanders here, who was actually one of the first people who helped build this yeshuv. He was the fifth family that moved here. And I just did a little tour with him around the yeshuv and brought the people who are doing their guard duty now their dinners. We packed them up for them in little containers and brought them to them. And I was able to look around the yeshuv, and this place is incredible, and these chayalim are incredible, and we're so happy that we can be doing this for them. They have a few words they'd like to say, a little bit of thanks. It's going to be in Hebrew, but I'll try and translate as best as I can.
Okay, we'll help you with it.
כן.
תודה רבה רבה. אנחנו פה תופסים כבר שבוע וחצי, תופסים פה את העמדות ביישובים, צמודים לערבים המחבלים שנמצאים סביבנו. תודה רבה רבה על כל התמיכה והאגב שאתם נותנים. זה לא ברור מאליו, וזה ממש ממש מחמם את הלב. תודה רבה, יישר כוח.
תודה לכם. תשמרו על עצמכם ותגן את העם, ותודה מכל עומק ליבנו בשביל כל מה שאתם עושים, מוסרים את כל הנפש שלכם. תודה.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.
All right, Yitzchak, tell us one more word. What else is on tap? You and your father, you've come to volunteer to work. You're going around. You're barbecuing for soldiers. What else are you up to?
So we're going around when we're doing these barbecues. We were also able to today. We went to 6 bases in the south and dropped off duffel bags at each base filled with supplies that we collected from the community. So everybody who donated and everybody who was able to send supplies, whether it be some physical supplies or money, they're being used. They're getting to the best hands they could possibly go to our soldiers. We were able to deliver them to 6 different bases in the south today, which was incredible. We got to see firsthand what these soldiers are going through. And that was today. We spent 2 days ago. We spent the day at Batei Shiva. So We went around to different places and visited families, bereaved families who have lost either loved ones who were soldiers or just family members in the horrific massacre that happened down south. And we were able to visit those different families and give them a little bit of chizuk and try and just tell them that we're there for them. Tomorrow we're going up north. My Tzevet is currently up north. We're going to try to go up there tomorrow and bring them 50 pizzot and just mechazek them tzat, be with them. We're going to go to another few other bases up north, bring them also duffel bags, try to mechazek them also. We're delivering sidurim, we're delivering chumashim. We're basically just going on and anywhere that needs help, we're trying to give that help.
Amazing. Yitzhak, keep it up. We couldn't be more proud of you. Please give the biggest hugs in the world to the whole country and everyone you see in it. Our love, our hearts, everything is there. We're proud of you. Thank you for representing us. And hopefully we're going to be
there's one more soldier here who would like to say something.
Sure.
Yes, I want to tell you, hello, Aliza. I know Aliza. Aliza is an angel in Israel. He brings us to our place in Binyamin. Big light. And I see the light because Rabbi Yoshua and his son, Yitzchak, that they come to us in Bnei Adam. Bnei Adam is a little village that before 18 years, I come here, it was nothing, and I put a tent here, and now it's 100 families.
Amazing.
Wow. Keep growing.
I invite you. When you come to Aliza, you come with Aliza to us. Okay, Aliza? We make it.
Shavua haba.
We look forward. Bezrat Hashem. Stay safe, stay strong. Stay safe, stay strong. Hashem should protect you while you protect us. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Aliza, how do you know? How do you know that soldier?
Who doesn't know Aliza?
Oh, so it's amazing. There were two other Yoshvei Rosh, two other mayors that were in the background during that conversation.
Right.
So it's like the weirdest. It's like the craziest thing. Everybody is doing their part. Everybody in the country. So everybody's on the front line.
Oh, we're back in it.
There we go.
So I'm here with the Rav. This Rav, I just wanted to give him a little bit of an introduction. This is Rav Chaim. Rav Chaim has been a great connection for me while we were here. He's a rabbi who basically is in charge of the Haredi units in the army. So Chetz, that's in Samchanim, Netzach Yehuda, and all the Haredi units. And he's been helping me put together a lot of what's going on here. And he wants to say just a few words.
Please.
ערב טוב לכולם, אני אדבר בעברית. לי קוראים חיים לידר, אני גר בבני ברק. אני כבר זוכה 10 שנים ללוות את הפלוגות החרדיות בצה"ל ולעשות להם פעילות קודש, שיעורי תורה, שבתות, התוועדויות. ועכשיו אני זוכה פה במלחמה הזאת ללכת מבסיס לבסיס ולחזק את עם ישראל. וזה כיף לראות שיש אנשים מכל העולם, מגיעים אנשים מתקשרים אליי מכל העולם, מקצה לקצה, שרוצים לעזור לחיילי צה"ל. ואני בממוצע כל יום אני נוסע לנתב"ג לקחת חבילות לחיילים. אז כל הכבוד לכם ותודה רבה.
כל הכבוד לך.
תודה רבה לך.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank
Where's
you.
your father? Is your father there?
Yeah. אתה רוצה לדבר? הנה.
Where is he eating? He's on the barbecue line there?
Oh.
He's barbecuing.
I'm another company commander here. I want to tell you that the food here that you see is very yummy, but your support literally give us power to fight. So thank you very much for this. Really, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no words to thank you. No words to thank you.
אוקיי, I'm gonna... מי? אתה? כן, בטח, תדבר, תגיד משהו.
תגיד שלום. שלום וברכה, עליזה, מה שלומך?
ברוך השם, טוב לראות אותך.
תודה, אני גם חבר מועצה פה בבנימין, ואני גם עכשיו לוחם פה במילואים, קראו לנו, אנחנו ממש מעריכים את התרומה שלכם, את החיזוק שלכם לעם ישראל, משם שתמשיכו ככה תמיד לעזור, ומצפים לראות אתכם בארץ הקודש.
אמן, בקרוב, בעזרת השם.
אמן, כן יהיה רצון.
תודה רבה.
All right, Yitzhak,
Okay, I'm gonna try and go over to my dad here. He's just in the midst of serving everyone.
Perfect.
And so I'm gonna try and go over to him so he can say hi. They want you to say hi.
תודה.
Oh,
חבר'ה בבוקה. חבר'ה בבוקר, יש מנגל פה, מחכים לכם. מחכים לכם, אתם חייבים לבוא לבני אדם ולמצפה יריחו ולארץ, לעשות מנגל עם החיילים.
We're coming. We're right
This
behind
is
you,
the greatest
Josh.
thing ever.
We're right behind you, Rabbi. Tell us about
Rabbi
the
Goldberg,
trip.
Rabbi Brody, I tell you the support, your leadership in our community has been, my kids came
Tell us
to me
about
every
you.
day, they
Tell
said,
us about you.
wow,
Tell us
Rabbi
about what
Goldberg.
you're doing. Tell us about what you've been doing.
You know, we've been trying to do everything we can to mechazek et halev, to meramem et halev shel hachayalim shelanu, shel mishpachot shelanu. We went to pay nichum avelim, to pay shiva calls. We went to the brim. Said that רוצים שאנחנו נדבר. בסדר.
של מי?
אוקיי.
רגע, או.
פשוט...
Wow.
Oh wow.
Okay, are we staying tuned in for this?
איך שאני למדתי בישיבה שלי, הרב שלי, אנחנו למדנו המון תורה. 8 שנים אני למדתי בישיבת שלבים. אבל הרב שלי אמר לי שיש דבר אחד שאתה חייב לעשות כיהודי, כל פעם שאתה הולך לישון בערב, לפני שאתה שם את הראש שלך על ה... קוראים את זה? כרית. חייבים לשאול שאלה אחת. תרמת משהו לעם ישראל היום? עשית משהו בשביל עם ישראל היום? ואם לא, אל תלך לישון. כך אני למדתי בישיבה שלי. שכל ערב, לפני שהולכים לישון, אחרי העבודה ואחרי הטיפולים עם הילדים ואחרי הכל, צריכים לשאול את השאלה, תרמת משהו לעם ישראל, לבני ישראל, לכלל ישראל, עשית משהו טוב, הבאת אור לחיים, טוב לחיים, ואת המשפט הזה, השאלה הזאת, אני ניסיתי עם אשתי בבוקר לחנך את הילדים שלנו, שהם ישאלו את אותו שאלה, איך אנחנו יכולים לתרום לעם ישראל. ברגע שהבן שלי, הבחור יצחק, שמע מה שקרה, הוא אמר לי, אבא, אנחנו חייבים לחזור הביתה.
Spodek's talking about his Rebbe taught
אנחנו
him
חייבים לחזור הביתה, אנחנו חייבים לבוא ולתרום. אני לא יכול לישון עד שאני יודע שאנחנו יכולים לעשות מה שאנחנו יכולים לעשות בשביל החיילים היקרים, בשביל המשפחות בארץ, אנחנו חייבים להיות איתכם. אנחנו לא רוצים להיות בבוקר,
Spodek is making a barbecue for a whole group of soldiers.
אנחנו רוצים
He's
להיות
talking to
פה
them right now.
איתכם.
He's talking to us. What an incredible, powerful message. And how rewarding.
בירושלים.
Amazing what's going on.
והיו המון חברות שלה שחזרו לאמריקה. קיבלו...
What a powerful image. Aliza, we're going to come back to you in the meantime for one moment. Aliza, talk to us. Mayor of Mitzpah Yericho. So
Okay.
This from all the joy and all the positivity that we've just seen, the infiltration, what does that mean, security for a place like Mitzpah Yericho that falls on your shoulders, Madam Mayor?
Okay, so it's real. It's real. The threats, everything that you hear on the news is what we're preparing for, and it's terrifying. It's words from Eicha that that are so unfathomable. We thought we really. That we were strong, and we realized that it's all b'tei shamayim, and it's only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And at the same time, we have to do our ishtadlus, and that's what we're doing. And every day, we're figuring out what we can do better and what we can do more, and that's what we're doing. And
what does it mean for you? The infiltration, are you learning from it? And you say, well, now we can see where our weaknesses were. Now we're learning from this what it really means to fortify a yeshuv, that it can feel somewhat confident, a little bit more confident. What does that mean? Where do you get the money to do that? How do you take the responsibility for it? Walk us through. Let the people who are listening and watching, who don't live it every day, get a sense of what that means for you and that responsibility.
So it's actually crazy, because things that we thought we had done to prepare for worst case scenario we never imagined a worst case scenario.
Right.
I can't, we can't even fathom what that means. The reason that we're in this is just nuts. So it used to be that there would be, security and medical supplies in a centralized area that would be for all the surrounding yeshuvim. And we realized we don't have that. It needs to be right here, right now. Whatever we have is what we're going to be able to use. And things that we thought we would be able to share with other yeshuvim are no longer shareable. It can only be what we have right here. Now, we are the lowest on the totem pole of emergencies in Israel. I mean, not the lowest, but, on the one hand, that's great because we're not in the worst place. But at the same time, the threats that we have of our neighbors, in Yericho, and, they're doing lots of activities in Yericho itself.
Right.
The army is going in all the time. We hear it, we see it. We know about the riots that they're doing in Yericho. There have been attempts, and there are attempts all the time to come into Mitzvah. I'm not going to explain, in this form of, exactly how we prevent it and how we make sure that doesn't happen. But the attempts are there on a daily basis.
Wow.
It's petrifying, and we need to be prepared. And things that the army and the state of Israel is making sure is being taken care of on the borders of Israel and the big cities. That's where they have to be focusing their energies. But what I'm so grateful to everyone in Boca is that they understand, and we've got an outpouring of support from Boca, and we hope that we continue to get that support. And those are the things that we're able to do. So we're right now trying to get, and I hope that in your bags that you're going to bring next week when you come to visit us. So I hope to be able to.
Let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll close with this. We really appreciate your time, Mayor. But it's clear sort of our role here right now. We're busy running rallies and Tehillim gatherings and working with media and elected officials and doing interviews. And there's a lot of work to be done on this end and contribution to be made. Of course, our hearts in Israel. I wanted to be on a plane on Motzei Simchas Torah. I was ready to book a flight. It's less clear to me, and I know Rabbi Spodek is doing amazing things right now. We just had him on. We're going to speak to Rabbi Biston momentarily, who went to Israel, brought bags, and did great stuff. It's less clear to me that if we put a mission together, I know that boosts morale. I know that it means we're not afraid to come. I got that. But will there not be a lot more to do in the coming days or weeks when we know more? What's the timing of when the diaspora Jew who's desperate to go should be going?
Well, I mean, only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows. We do not know anything. What I know is what we can do today. Right now, I need you to bring bags. I need protection for my soldiers, and I need that now. And the sooner you can get on the plane that you can bring me those bags, that will save lives. Period. I need medical.
The cynic who says, these bags aren't even making it where they need to go. A lot of it gets thrown in the garbage.
I promise you that what you bring to me, I will use.
Got it.
Please God, by the time you get here in a couple of days, Mashiach will be here, and we'll be using it to build for gardening. But for right now, we need that for war, and we're in a war, and I need it right now. I don't know what's going to be in a couple of weeks, and if you need to take another flight to go back and come back again, I know that you'll do it. And if it's not you, you're going to send your shlichim like Rabbi Spodek and Yitzchak. But we're gonna get it, and we need it right now. Will you be busy every single minute of every single day that you're in Israel? Yes, I will. I will help you build that, and you will do that. You'll be tying tzitzis. You'll be peeling potatoes. They just sent out in the last hour. You'll be tying tzitzis. You'll be peeling potatoes for the cholents for all the bases around here. You're going to be doing laundry. You're going to be going to the bases and doing and making barbecues. You're going to be busy from morning till night. You're going to be crying in Shiva homes, the way that Rabbi Spodek just spoke about, and you're going to be doing. And if you come, I promise you that you will. That you
All right, we got our
use
assignment.
very,
We got to go
well.
book it. We got to go book our flight
right now.
Listen, my cholent and
Right
barbecue.
now, and I call the bags first. Don't let anybody send anything. They're mine.
I'm just letting you know. I think it might have been booked.
My cholent and barbecue you want. Me doing your laundry, I don't think as much, but Rabbi Brody's good at laundry, so
Yeah, exactly.
You can
Aliza,
deliver it. You can send it around.
Thank you.
You can
Your husband, who's your biggest fan in the world, keeps me posted regularly on just how much he admires you and how outstanding all that you do is. So please, love to Rabbi Uri, love to your whole family, love to all of Mitzvah Yericho, and we look forward to seeing you over there, sitting at the Pilichowski Palace on the incredible view, and enjoying a l'chaim and a cigar, and a Dvar Torah as we celebrate an Israeli victory and safety being returned to Klal Yisrael, but the continued Achta. So thank you so much for being with us.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for everything that everybody's doing.
I love.
So grateful.
We are joined by a dear friend of ours for many years, both Rabbi Brody and myself, JJ Sussman. JJ, you are working hard. We know on Israel, and there's so many angles of things that people are working on. Of course, our soldiers who are first and foremost in our tefillos and our prayers and our efforts. Everybody who lives there, who has family members serving and themselves are directly affected. You have spent the last number of years working at the front lines of Gesher, of trying to bridge the gap between the religious, non-religious, and create unity in Israel. And, if 2 weeks ago I would have told you that you'd see a unified Israel, nobody using the two words judicial reform, people coming together in unprecedented, unparalleled ways, demonstrations of selfless love towards one another, you would have said to me, Goldberg, I know we know each other a long time, but you're out of your mind.
Out of your mind.
And of course, what happens is an atrocity that we would never welcome or want. It's horrific. It's terrible. We don't understand it. We don't accept it. But we are seeing that coming together. Because share a little bit from your perspective. First of all, what's going on, you, your family, in terms of how you're navigating this difficult time, but also with your work with Gesher and seeing a country come together, front lines of seeing that happening. Share with us a little bit about what you're seeing.
Yeah. So first of all, I wouldn't have said Goldberg. I would have said Rabbi Goldberg. But yeah, I think this is affecting everybody on very on all levels, on a personal level, a family level, a community level, and then also on in my case on a Gesher level, on whatever work everyone does. So
let me just interrupt you 1 second. I should have said also I know a family member who was.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Maybe I'll address all of those, and I think it may give your listeners a little sense of not just what I'm going through, but I think everybody here in Israel is going through on all those levels. So on a personal level, as you mentioned, my cousin Yosef Gedalia, who served in one of the elite units in the army, was one of the first to respond on Simchas Torah to what was going on. I was davening with him Simchas Torah morning, and he left after the first siren or two in Yerushalayim straight to his base and then to the battlefield. And what we're learning now from various accounts of what happened there, he was literally a hero, a Jewish hero, saving lives of many families in Kfar Aza, fighting against the evil terrorists who just came to kill Jews. And ultimately, at the end of that day, he had passed away. I don't want to say he passed away. He fell al Kiddush Hashem Mamash in battle, saving.
He was murdered by cold-blooded evil terrorists.
So he and again, I don't think. In some ways, he's obviously my cousin, my first cousin's son, but in other ways, he's there were 1,000 stories like that. So it's really affected every single house in Israel. I've been to a few funerals already, a few shivas of friends, and just so you get a sense, the shiva homes are packed with people. I went to another friend in Ranana who's sitting shiva because his son, also in the army, fell in battle, and we're sitting there probably 150 people on Saturday night. And all of a sudden, another guy walks in, just like everyone else, but with a guitar. And all of a sudden, Hanan Ben Ari comes to pay a shiva call and starts talking to the family and starts playing. He found out that the soldier was a big fan of his, and
who are
you? It's happening all over the place. Yeah, Aryeh Ziering. Yeah,
he was at the wedding.
Yeah, he was at Gail's wedding. So that's on a personal level, and you hear the stories, and we don't even know these are really heroes of Israel. So that's on a personal level. On a family level, I think again every family is in a different stage of life. Some families obviously have kids in the army. Some families have young children. Some families, the husbands have been called up. In my family, my teenage kids are volunteering nonstop, and I'm not saying it to brag. It's literally every family is looking for more and more ways to do it. But just so your listeners get a sense of the type of stuff they're doing. One of my teenage sons, he started the first day or two helping families take down their sukkahs because their husbands were called back. The next day, they needed help in the Modi'in cemetery to dig graves, and he was digging graves for people whose funerals they were expecting. The next day, we had a funeral of a neighbor who we didn't even know, who turns out another hero. She saved her chayalot on one of the bases there, and the whole community came out holding Israeli flags, paying her and her family a final respects. But this is what teenagers are doing today. My daughter's been volunteering at one of the hotels where the evacuees from the south have left their homes now for probably an extended period of time, helping them with all their needs. So that's on a family level. On a community level, everyone in Boca I know, and probably in the Jewish community around the world has friends in Modi'in by this point, and you're probably seeing on Facebook some of the grilling for IDF or the visiting the soldiers and pampering them with whatever they need. And we live in an amazing community, kind of like the community in Boca. And I think and by the way, the American Jewish community has been an incredible source of support for us, for our community, and for the entire nation. It's really incredible to see. People who I haven't spoken to in years are checking in on me personally. I know it's happening to other people, and keep that up. That means a lot. Really,
speak to that for a second, because one of the things that we've been reinforcing is text, call, email. People here feel like they're busy over there. They're fighting to survive. They have their kids in the army. They don't care about my text, but they don't realize that a text that says that we haven't moved on, our life is not normal, we're thinking of you. Express from your perspective why that's important.
To know that, look, this is not going to be as I say in Hebrew, is a bang v'gamarnu. It's not going to be a quick fix. This is, at least I'm not a military strategist, but we haven't even gone in yet with our full force to eradicate Hamas, which is a stated goal of what we're going to do. And they're going to be like last night, what happened with the hospital. There are going to be attempts by the other side to try to delegitimize us and tell us what we're doing is not legitimate. And we know that not only is this a just cause, but it's a justified cause. And we need the support, and we're going to need it going on. I read just a few minutes ago an opinion piece in EJP, in E-Jewish Philanthropy, by Mark Cherendorf, stating exactly that, and I couldn't identify more. We're going to need the American Jewish communities, the entire American people's support, but first and foremost, the American Jewish community to be with us for the duration, and it's not going to be a day or two or a week or two, I'm afraid, and we're going to need that to continue as we go through. And it's there right now. It's there. We're feeling it tremendously, and as you know, which takes us, I guess, into Gesher a little bit. One of the big things we're focused on in Gesher, I don't know how much time I have, but I'll try to be
go ahead,
quick,
go for it.
Is we try to strengthen the relationship between Israelis and the American Jewish community, and we've been working on that, as you guys know, for a while. The unity of the Jewish people is paramount to the work that we do through our AMI program, which is a joint venture between us and the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, through our Gesher Leadership Institute, and we've taken close to over 400 leaders to visit American Jewish communities over the last 8 or 9 years, and we are very much in touch with each of those people who are now in positions of influence here in Israel, and working with them to reach out to the American Jewish community. So, for example, someone who runs the informal education unit in the Ministry of Education, together with them, with the Ministry of Education and the Foreign Ministry, we had a Zoom yesterday to start training 500 10th to 12th graders in Israel to work on Hasbara and provide materials for the American Jewish community to help spread the word on social media. We have Miri Michaeli, who has something called Act News on TikTok and on Instagram, spreading the word in in small snippets. You can check it out. Act News from Miri Michaeli. I'm working with Sigal Adar, who runs fundraising for the Shamir Medical Center, less well known maybe in America, but the third most important hospital for the South here in Israel. And they don't have a presence with people on the ground in America, but they direly need funds to help fund their expanded emergency room. They already treated 200 victims, and they're quickly looking to expand and furnish their expanded emergency rooms because of the expected escalations in the coming weeks. We have Noga, who runs our camp usually in the summer for religious and secular kids in Israel, where we had 500 kids this summer. She's lending her management services and her logistics services to manage one of the hotels in Yerushalayim where the evacuees are being taken to. Some of our fellows, together with some of our board members, are working with Gal Hirsch, who's running the communication with the kidnapped hostages who are in Gaza right now, the communication between the families and the Israeli government. So I'm not saying this again because Gesher is unique. Everyone in Israel is helping where they can. Everyone in Israel is lending a hand. And everyone in the American Jewish community, from what I see, from what I hear, is also party to that effort. It's seen, it's welcome, it's heartwarming, it's incredibly supportive.
JJ, how do we make this last? I mean, this is
that's the question. How do we put Gesher out of business here and make sure that this is not going to fade away?
Yeah. So we'll have time to talk about that, just like we'll have time to talk about who was responsible for this, what happened last week. But we know, I mean, look, guys, we know that it's something that we have to work on regularly. Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, we believe in it. The Boca community is a great example, always put on a pedestal as to what Jewish unity needs to look like. Through our work together, we've done incredible programs together. And we always say, and we've said it in the past, that we know how to come together during times of tragedy. And we all need, hopefully it's a wake-up call, but we all need to figure out how to continue to come together during our everyday lives as well. But right now, like you said, there's nothing can stop the Jewish people when we're one. Right now we're there, and we need to maintain that as long as possible. And like I said, the American Jewish community and the world Jewish community is stepping up. It's noticed. It's important. It's important to keep it up for the long haul. And what you guys are doing is incredibly important, incredibly appreciative.
We appreciate that, JJ. We appreciate everything that you're doing. And if only there were a way to bottle this achdus, if we could just bottle these feelings and bottle this unity and this love. And
I heard, by the way, I heard last night someone, maybe I'll share this. I was at a funeral last night, and I almost felt a sense of relief. I told somebody it was a Har Menuchos and not Har Herzl, which basically means it was just somebody who died of natural causes, unfortunately, but different from the war effort. But one of the people who gave a eulogy said the most popular song during these kinds of times is Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael. And that comes obviously from the davening on Mondays and Thursdays when we say the Hiratzon, and then the final one is Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael. And he asked a question. I forgot who he quoted. Maybe I forgot who he quoted, but he asked, "Why don't we say Hiratzon? She'achenu Kol Beis Yisrael and Sum Mitzora V'Shiva, that we can use Achdus." And his point was, or the answer was that when we're together, we don't need to ask for a Hiratzon from Hashem. When we're together, our tefillos are answered, and that's the secret sauce. When Am Yisrael is together, that's the secret sauce.
That's a great insight. JJ, ever since your parents made you that Aliyah party in Manhattan with the shawarma,
I want to be invited back onto the show to talk about the shawarma pit. And
we sang V'shava Vanu L'Gvulam, and the rest of us. You were an exception then. It wasn't easy.
Right.
There was no nefesh b'nefesh.
By the way, if we're in Florida, somebody who lives in Florida, not in your community, I served in the Army, as you guys know, as the two of you know, as a Chayal Boded many years ago, too long ago. And when I was there, you feel very isolated there. Certainly when I remember being one Thanksgiving night in the Army, feeling isolated from the rest of natural citizens in a tent. And they delivered a letter. In those days, we used to write letters for the young listeners. And I got a letter from somebody from Florida. I won't say his name, so as not to embarrass him. I remember it to this day. It meant the world to me that somebody out there was thinking about me. I've told him. I haven't shared it with other people. But that's exactly what you were talking about earlier. Send a text. Send an email. Check in on everybody. Even your own neighbors who have kids who are... I saw you guys had a session for parents of kids who have kids in Israel. We're doing that here locally in our own community, not just with people overseas. Check in with people. Now's the time. We need to stay together and remain together. And that's what Gesher is all about, obviously. And that's what you guys are all about. So I appreciate you guys inviting me on here. I know I'm not David Fishoff, but I love David Fishoff too.
He was great too. JJ, stay safe, stay strong. We love you. Thank you for all that you're doing, and we'll be in touch.
Be well. Great to see you guys.
We're joined by our friend Rabbi Shuey Biston.
Wow.
Rabbi Biston, our friend, our colleague. Rabbi Biston, other people deliberate, other people are hesitating. We're trying to figure out what's right. You didn't. You got on a plane, you jumped, you went over to Israel. Talk to us. What made you?
What made you decide to go?
Well, he's in the right corner of my screen over here. That's the truth. I got a call from I don't remember what it was. I don't even know what date it is today. But Josh called me and said, "Shuey, what do you think? Me, Rabbi Goldberg, you, a couple others get on a plane." And I called my brother-in-law Chaim and Eli Lipsker from downtown Brickell, and they're like, "We're going." I'm like, "I'm going." And I called like Josh, and there was ticket issues, but we were able to get some, and we were on the way.
Amazing. So you jumped and you did it. Any pushback? Any family members or the community say, "Rabbi, we need you here"? Where are you going?
So it happened so quick. Obviously, right after we all found out what happened, and there was the rally, and we started getting calls. My kid is serving, and my kid is serving. We have quite a few in our Parkland community, and certainly in Boca. We made the decision, I think it was on Thursday morning, that we're going. So I put out a Facebook post that we're going to be traveling to Israel. Primarily at the time, it was to bring gear. People were asking for the vest with the plates and the helmets and tactical gear and other things. And all of a sudden, my phone started blowing up with, hey, I have a kid here. I have a kid there. Even people that I didn't know, but they heard that we were going. Could you bring this, that? And by the time we got to the airport on Motzei Shabbos, without a plan as far as how we're going to get the stuff in. We had 52 suitcases.
Wow.
It's funny because when the suitcases were coming off, it was either Chabad or Spodek, and I was watching the interview before. I mean, we were probably half that plane of baggages.
What are the mechanics? How do you get 52 bags on a plane? You just beg everybody boarding the plane to take a bag?
It's a lot of overweight.
I'll tell you something. On my flight back, I made a decision. Usually we look for the cheapest or the easiest flight back. Delta, United. I will only fly El Al in the future. El Al was so accommodating. They told us, we had called in advance. They said, listen, we're not going to have, as long as you keep it under 70 pounds, we're not going to be charging you overweight. And as many bags as you want, we're just going to charge $50 a bag. And it's true. We checked in 52 bags. They charged us for maybe 30 or 35 of them. We were 5 of us or 6 of us together. So we had about an allotment of like 12 to 15 bags as well.
Wow, that's really incredible. And you know what? That's so important. I haven't heard that. You think you've heard everything going on right now? That kudos to El Al for that, and it's Israel's national airline. I know it's private now, and I've had a much better experience with El Al than ever before. I've really been enjoying the direct flights from South Florida, but all the more reason even to take the pride and the flag that's on the tail of that plane, but more of the pride of their doing their part as part of this effort. So what was that experience?
Let me just add, I just want to add to the El Al part of it. It was very interesting because the lady, I forget her name, that was the manager at Miami Airport of El Al, she was telling us, listen, we're going to try to get all the bags on tonight's flight, but some of them may not make it. And we were concerned because, we knew we wanted to get on the road early and get everything out there. And when we did land, only half our bags were there. And we were hoping that it would arrive the next day. Of course, we got confirmation to be the next morning at 8 o'clock in the morning at the airport, which we were. But when we landed in Miami, I just landed a couple hours ago. When I landed, she was at the gate, at the door when they opened the plane. And as I got off, she says, Rabbi, I was tracking those bags. I knew you were going to get them in time. Don't worry.
Wow,
so she remembered that. Yeah, that's when I decided. That's when we made up that we're flying El Al forever.
Yeah, that's it. That is powerful. And I saw a video from the plane. What was that like? The flight over?
It was incredible. Look, if you're flying into Eretz Yisrael now, you're going into, I guess, the mess of war, the fog of war. And you saw a lot of nervous families. Some people were traveling back home. They were here for the Chagim. They waited a few days. They had to get home. And there were quite a few reservists that were called up traveling. And there was this, certain tense atmosphere. And, we were there for another reason, to be mechazik, to really give a lot of pride and strength. And already in the airport, we broke out in song and dance. And as soon as we started to taxi away from the terminal in Miami, we started singing and dancing on the plane. And there was just, the energy was incredible. Everyone was joining in and FaceTiming and videoing. And they were all coming over afterwards to say thank you. That's what we needed. Really, that's what we wanted.
And Brody, you want to jump in before I get?
Yeah, I'm just curious when it comes to all the supplies, and this is what we're hearing back and forth. It's just a little unclear, but you can tell us because you were there. The helmets and the body gear. So some are saying that we're purchasing things, and then it gets there, and it's not approved. It's not Army grade, and then it's going to like medics instead, which is not a bad thing, but it's not getting to the Army. What should we be collecting or not collecting here? What's a waste? What's not a waste?
Okay, so there's really 2 answers to that question, and I got hundreds of texts about this question.
Right.
The first answer is, how do you make sure stuff get there? Well, you book a flight and you go and you bring it yourself. Everything that we took, we hand delivered. So if you're bringing it there, someone called me from California today. I have 30 vests and Chabad Rabbi, 30 vests, and I have some kids in my community, and I want to get. How can I make sure it gets there? I said, drive to LAX, book a flight, and hand deliver it. I promise you, it's going to get there. So that's number one. The second thing is, we heard conflicting reports. Also, it was the 3 A's and not the 4s, and what's allowed, what's not. When we got there, we put 5, 6 bags on each wagon, and we just walked right out. No one asked us any questions. If they would have asked us, we said these are stuff that's personal stuff. We're bringing ourselves and we're giving it to friends and family, which is the truth. I've heard reports that some people that they were confiscating some things in the airport. The Army didn't want supplies being brought in like that. They want to distribute it. My experience was everything we brought in, and everyone on our flight that brought in stuff, they got it out.
Talk to us about what you did while you were there. What was that experience like?
I mean, the most inspirational 48 hours of my life, and that's not even close. I'm still processing. We went there with a simple mission, a little gashmias, a little ruchnias, some spiritual and materialism. The purpose of it was to bring gear to kids in our community and give them chizuk, give them strength. I knew that I also wanted to go to some of the hospitals, visit some of the soldiers that were injured. So we brought 50 plus iPads with us so that we knew we'd be able to distribute to them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I also knew that I wanted to go to some of the houses of those that were sitting Shiva, which we could talk about soon. That was the last thing we did, and it was very heavy. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that part. And then we wanted to bring a little chayas and energy to the soldiers. And we were able to do that in ways that we never expected to. We could get into the details of that, but that was the primary purpose of why we were going. Myself, the Rabbi Lipsker from downtown Brickell, and then two of my friends, Mendy Krinsky from Boca and Sam Backer from Miami Beach. We all just decided together. As a matter of fact, there was one other person, Ayala Navim, who I vaguely know from Miami Beach. And when we got to the airport, I saw Ayala, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He says, I want to go to Israel to help. I'm like, "Help what?" He said, "I don't know. I got to figure it out. What are you going?" I said, "Well, we're going to visit people and everything." He says, "Can I come along with you?" Well, he stayed with us for 48 hours straight. Wow. He went there without a plan, and he came back with us.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. The first day we got there, we were scheduled. We were going to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning to head down south. But we woke up at 4 o'clock to just start dividing the bags. We knew what had to go where, which bases we were stopping at. Generally, our general itinerary. On the plane, we booked a driver, we booked a security guard, we booked a photographer to come with us to capture a lot of the moments. And we started at 4 o'clock in the morning that day. We got back to the hotel 2 o'clock in the morning that night. So we did 22 hours straight. And then we set up for the next 2 hours. We were just breaking things down for the next day. And it was nonstop.
What were the Shiva call? Talk to us about the Shiva call at the end.
Starting with the heavy, huh? The Shiva call, wow. So it was, we were there on Monday and Tuesday. So Tuesday afternoon, the schedule, when we got in the van, we were going to visit one of our soldiers, one of the kids from our community. Actually, as a matter of fact, the head of our security at the Chabad Parkland campus is Shia Fishman. He has two sons, Asher and Sammy, serving. So we were going to bring gear for Sammy. Wow. And what's interesting is every time we came to a soldier to bring them, and I'm sure you heard this in other interviews, they said, I can't take just for myself. Could you give me for my whole unit, my whole pluga? And we only had a certain amount. There was one soldier that we said, I mean, this is all we have. We have a limited amount of stuff, and this is what we were able to get for your family. He says, then give it to someone else. I'm not coming back with a vest. And we had that experience a few times, and in some cases, we made a plan and we got some stuff together, and that was very, From there, we were scheduled to go to Soroka Hospital in Beersheba to meet soldiers that were injured. The day before, we had went to Barzilai in Ashkelon, which tell that story if we have time later. Incredible story. But what we did was, on the way, we called the Chabad Shliach in Moshav Maslul, which we met the day before, and we told him, listen, we're going to Soroka. We want to go back. We want to come back, and perhaps we could throw another barbecue for soldiers at about 2-3 o'clock, and then we're going to go to the Shiva house. And he says, let me call you back in a minute. He calls us back. He says, listen, lunch in the only base that was able to withstand the attacks is the base it's called Rayim, the Army base Rayim base. All the other bases were overrun, burnt out, and they're not operational right now. Rayim's the only one. They were also attacked. And veering off the question of the Shiva house, we'll get there in a moment. That base was attacked. Usually there's 1,200 soldiers that protect. That's the main Gaza base with the Warm, the Cheder Milchama, the Hamal downstairs there. There were only 200 people for Simchas Torah on that Shabbos. And when they were attacked, I met, and I could share with you some of the video interviews that I did. There was a Chabad boy actually runs their logistics. So he was in the war room, and he saw the attack was happening, and it was a very heavy fight. He said, we lost a number of our soldiers, but he was able to get them. They were able to direct our fighters to corner them all into this incredible gymnasium that the FIDF built on this base. And once all of them were in there, he ordered from the Hamal, he ordered an attack on, let me just plug in over here. He ordered an attack. One of our helicopters dropped a missile on that, blew out the entire facility, and killed all 30 of the terrorists there. I walked those grounds, we were able to see all of it destroyed. So he hadn't left the base since then. Obviously, they brought in people from other bases, and that's where they're running the command centers over there now. So we were able to get the Chabad rabbi who's friends with the chef of that base, which is the largest kitchen in the Israeli army. They feed, I think, typically 1,500 people every meal. In other bases, it's catered. Lives in Maslul, where the Chabad rabbi is with 200 families. So he called him up and says, listen, I got some rabbis that want to throw a barbecue for the boys. What's for lunch today? He says, well, I'm just going to do some chicken. So he says, go shopping. So the chef calls us from he gets in a car, drives to the local meat store, whatever they have there, not far, calls us up and he says, what should I buy? We said everything. Wow. Every piece of meat in that. Everything.
It's important. Sure, first of all, we're so proud to know you and proud that you represent us, and we're right behind you in doing this. I think it's important also for people to know that, and that's one of the themes of the guests that we've had on tonight. It matters. It makes a difference. There are things to do. It boosts morale. It's not that anyone should feel like a hero because they're going, because you'll get infinitely more out of it than you'll give to it, and it pales in comparison to the people who live there and are putting themselves on the line. But that there's things to do. So the people who say, why are you going? They don't want you there. It's a war zone. You're just getting in the way. That was not your experience.
Not one bit. Every single soldier that had a chance to come over, and many of them, there's so many different themes we could really talk about. They haven't told their story. When there's such a traumatic event, and many of them that are serving, that are based and their families live there isn't a family that wasn't affected by this. If they didn't lose a family member, well, their neighbor did, or the next neighbor over did. Right. So everyone's been deeply, pained by this and affected. They haven't even had time to go to funerals because they moved right into war mode. Wow. And they haven't told their story, and they just wanted to talk. So many of them just wanted to share their stories with us. And the stories are heroic and incredible. Each one, how they saved lives and what they did together. I mean, it was very unique. And then for many of them to come over to us and just say, it's not about the barbecue. It's not about the tefillin you're putting, or the tzitzis that you're bringing us, or the gifts that you just showed up. You really came from Miami, from South Florida, just to give us a hug and show us chizuk. That's more than anything. That means the world to us. Mm. And your last question that you had asked the Rebbitzin of, should we come? Well, obviously, if the family dynamic and the children and the spouses are okay with it, there is what to do. There's a lot to do there.
That's huge. Again, thank you. We're proud of you. You're paving the way. We're right behind you. We're coming next. I don't know when, if anyone I'm related to is watching this.
So I want to get back to your question about the Shiva house now, because it occurred after that. So sure. Our last stop of the day, we went to Ofakim. And in Ofakim, 68 residents were killed in Ofakim. The block that we went to, that the rabbi took us to, every single house on that block is sitting Shiva. You turn onto the street, and you just begin bawling. I mean, you can't, the site, every house has tents outside and pictures, and everyone is sitting Shiva. That community, that block, that town, those lives will never be the same. And our intention when we got into Ofakim was, okay, we're going to visit a few families. Well, we never made it out of the first house. The family specifically that we went to, just random, we walked in. The father, the husband, they had heard the sirens go off Simchas Torah morning, and they gathered the whole family. They went to his parents that lived 2 doors down. So they're all in the parents' house. Now the shiva was happening back in their home, but they were in the parents' home, and the challahs are still on the table, the wine, the kiddush, the food, it's all there, it's all set. The terrorists started shooting at the walls, try to get in, they didn't open the door, they broke the glass and they threw a grenade into the living room. The entire house is burnt out in there, but he had enough time to get everyone upstairs. And when you get to the second floor, there's a window that leads out to a roof. He got his parents, his 4 children.
I saw the video of this.
The video is out there. So we were in that house. And as he's stepping out, they shot him. His body was there for 2 days, but the rest of the family was saved. And when we went to the Shiva house, his brother wanted to show us. He brought us, and he said, please film this and share it, and I'll share it with you, with both of you. Perhaps we could get it out there. He says he wants the world to see. But I filmed inside the house. And then we went back to the house, and we gave the children gifts and iPads and presents, and we never made it to Soroka that day. I was telling you about the barbecue on that base.
Right.
So we had hundreds of gifts that we had bought for the hospitals. That all went to that Shiva house. And
Shuey, we want to thank you representing us and not waiting, not deliberating, but just jumping on that plane and getting there. It's huge, and it's an example to us and so many others, and we're proud to know you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rabbi Brody, extraordinary people, and their insight, their experiences, the work that they're doing, their feeling, their emotion, their connection. And it's hard to hear them, and not everybody can go. When you go, if you go, how you go.
Right.
But we all want to be part of this story. That's the destiny of the Jewish people. That's our homeland. And really amazing people.
I'll just share one story he told me after. He has so many stories. He said, everyone saw those pictures and those videos on Yom Kippur about the Haredim fighting with the secular on Yom Kippur in Tel Aviv, right? They were trying to do all these services, I guess. And I don't know how he did it, but everything that Shuey does is amazing. He figures it out. And he meets one of the guys that were protesting, one of the secular guys. He puts tefillin on him yesterday. The guy's bawling.
Yeah.
He
told me also. He met one of the people that were at the Yom Kippur in Tel Aviv and just tried to stop the davening, and now look back on that and regrets it just a couple weeks later because of what's happened. He's a great guy. My granddaughter goes to his gan, my Eliana, a Tara's daughter in Parkland.
There you go. Good for her. I
Tara,
want to go to his gan.
Tara's a big Rav Shuey fan. Yeah, he's a good guy. He didn't wait, he didn't deliberate, he didn't ask, probably didn't get permission. Just made a ticket and got on a plane. So it's
thank him.
It's good stuff. These are the people of Israel. I think who we featured tonight is just one small example of why the enemy will never win. This is the Jewish people. This is our backbone. This is our strength. This is our faith. This is our optimism. This is our absolute everything. And this is why we're strong when we have kind of people like this. So, Rabbi Brody, we're all davening for Gael, Zach,
davening for your nephews.
I got my 3 nephews.
Exactly. We got them.
We had them on the show. We had them on Behind the Bima last week.
Yeah.
That's my where is it? That's my nephew Sammy Hellerstein. He's finishing basic training but doing Shmirah. And I learned that when you do Shmirah, when a siren goes off, everyone gets to run to a shelter. You don't. Because if our enemies knew that they just launch rockets and even the people on Shmirah will go to shelters, then that's it. That's my nephew Sammy. And that's that's the Fry. I can't see. That's Ephraim Goldstein, and he's in infantry. And that's my hero Avi Noam. He's in combat. You can listen to last week's Behind the Bima if you want to hear them directly. We interviewed them. We spoke to them. Just amazing.
Can I just give a little quick intro here?
Yeah, please.
Why not? Right. So here we've got Jake. He was in the army. Okay, he was in the army. Now he's in Rebelli's army. He's doing some great stuff. Here you got Zach, so the 2 son-in-laws. This might be, I don't know if it's breaking news. I don't know if I'm getting in trouble. Hopefully this will be the 3rd son-in-law.
You're getting in trouble now.
That's okay. It's okay. I love this guy, and I'm so proud of him. He's in basic training and just did some great program. His name's Alicia. We love Alicia.
Just Alicia.
We're just gonna say Alicia for now. And there's Avigail. That's it. So proud of all these guys. Just saying,
Brody, I can't wait till you're
all 3 of these guys here, 6 feet and taller. All 3 of them.
You're reunited with the crew, and safety and security and success. That's our story. That's our hope. That's our faith, and that's our future. So thanks for tuning in. And long episode, but a lot of amazing people, and there were many more that we wanted to include. But we'll keep telling these stories. That's it. Behind the Bima, every shiur, every youth event, every davening with Tehillim. This is what we breathe and live right now with the rest of the Jewish people around the world. And we got to figure out a way to bottle it. We got to bottle this achdus and bottle this feeling and bottle this being alive. We'll end the way we began the first interview. David Friedman tonight. Mashiv HaRuach. That's great, no? Mashiv HaRuach, the Ruchnius, the Ruach, a spirit of the Jewish people. We've got Ruach. Yes, we do. So we got to bottle it. We got to continue it. Grateful to all those who are listening and watching. Do what you can for Israel. Everybody has a contribution to make. I want to thank our generous sponsors again. Daily Aliyah, collection of practical Divrei Torah, every Aliyah of the Parsha. Get a hold of one at your local bookstore. Order it online. Daily Aliyah. Learn the Parsha like you never did. And all the money all of it goes to support daily giving, which is supporting Israel right now. And the virtual halacha program, take halacha seriously, learn with Rav Nebenzahl, and become a better version of you. So thank you, and we'll see you soon.